Hi everyone, very good morning and good evening. So we'll start the session, guys. Just 1 second. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so till now, what we have done, so we discussed about all the data loading activities by using stages, different stages, right? So use a stage, table stage, and then named stage. These are the things what we saw. So now today, what we are going to do is we will see how to work with validations when we are loading the data to any specific table. So how this validation is going to be implemented, so how we can able to perform these validations, we will see that. Now here, when you are loading any data, right, to the table, when it is coming to validations, there is two things. One is before loading data to the table, another one is after loading data to the table. These are the two things. One is before loading the data to the table, another one is after loading the data to the table. We can do the validations. Now let's say, for example, before loading a data to the table, in copy command we can use the command called validation mode. Validation mode equal to return return errors. This is what we will do before loading the data to the table. And one more thing we need to remember here, when you are using validation mode return errors, right, it won't load data, it just displays, it gives error error details. That's it. It won't load any data, even though if you don't have any errors, it won't allow you to load the data. Just it will throw the errors. That's it. If they don't have any errors, it will display the zero errors, then it won't do anything. Basically, when you are using copy command, if you use validation mode, just for identify the errors, we will use it. When you are using validation mode, it won't load data to the table. Now, if you observe, let me open one file. Sorry. Observe this. This is the file. Now, if you observe employee ID column, this is if you consider this as a ID number. If you consider this as a number column, now observe these two things. This is characters, right? If you try to load this into employee ID number column, it will throw error. Now, before loading the data itself, I wanted to understand what are the reason of the failures. What are the reason of the failures? We need to understand that. Then how to check it. Now let's observe this. What we will do is first we will load this data to the specific table. After that, we will implement. We will, before loading the data to a specific table, what we have to do? We need to create a table structure. This is what we are doing is we are creating a table structure called validate. And let's create a table. Now the table is created. Now if you want to load the data into this validate table, we need to load it into the stage area, right? We have to load into stage area. For that, we will use put command. So let's come to this. We will modify this one, put command, and this put command we have to give invalid file, I mean error related file. Pick the file path. This is the path of the file. Now the path, and give this. This is the, so which stage you wanted to load? We will load it to this particular table stage area. This table stage area when we are loading the data to this table. So where we have to execute this? We have to execute this in CLI. Just log into command prompt. Here, just a type snow SQL space -a space our account details. So let's pick the account details here. This is the account details. Now here we need to give username and then password. Sorry, yes. Username is snowflake 8, and then here we have to give the password. Now we given the password here. Now connected to database, use database and then database name. Now here we will execute this put command. Observe this, we executed put command. Now this error file, it is loaded into this particular stage area. In this particular stage area, file is available here. Now this file, we want to load the data to the table. Then we will use copy command, right? Let me use the copy command here. Observe this one, copy into table. What is the table name here? This is the table name. EMP validate is the table name. And then what is the stage name? At the rate percentage table name. Now observe this carefully here. When you are executing this, when you are executing, what happened here? Observe the error here down. What it is telling? Numeric value is not recognized. Snow is not recognized because when you observe the table structure, what we have created, see this one, EMP validate. Observe the table structure. It is number, right? This is number. Got it? Table structure is number. But what you are trying to load? You are trying to load snow, right? So what will happen here? It will throw error because this is a character you are trying to load it into number data type. Now here it will give only this information, but it is not giving complete information. Now before executing the copy command, I want to understand what is the reason of the failures, or I wanted to check all the error details information. Before loading we have to check. Then what we can do is, see this one, we can use validation mode return errors. This is the command we will use to identify is there any errors is available or not. What this validation mode command will do is, it is going to compare with your file structure and then table structure. Whatever the file you are trying to load, this structure, and then what is the data, what is the table you created, this structure, it will compare in the backend, and then it will check if you have any errors, it will display. Now observe this one, see this, it is telling two errors. There is two errors. One is snow and then one is, another one is flake. Here if you observe the file name, it is telling the file name and line, and at the same time column name. Observe this, clearly we can see which column we have error, right? And right, row numbers, and what is the rejected records. So these are the rejected records, right? We can able to understand clearly these are the two errors we have. And if you don't have any errors, if you use validation mode, it won't allow you to load the data. For example, what we will do is we will create another table here. We will create another table. I'm creating another table here. Validate underscore test. We are creating, and let me create a table here. We created a new table. Validate underscore test table. Sorry, I will use this as string. Okay. Employee ID also I will use this as a string, and then let's create a table. Now if you observe, this is the table, and then what is this? It will character. It will allow both numbers and then characters. Now let me load this to this particular test here underscore test. This is the table stage. New table. This is the stage area. Now in this stage also we have a file. Now we wanted to load the data to this table. Now when I use copy command, observe this. What is the difference here? We are using copy command. This is the test table, and this is the stage area, test stage area. Here also I am using return errors. Validation mode equal to return errors. When you execute this, observe what will happen here. See this? Is it showing any error? There is no errors, but it will load the data to the table. Observe this one. This is the table name, right? See this? Do you have the data? No, right? We don't have any data here because it is not loaded. Because of the reason behind this is we are using validation mode. Validation mode, when you use in a copy command, it won't allow you to load the data, just it will check the error information. Just is going to check only the error information, that's it. It won't allow you to load the data into the table. Clear? Now observe this. If I comment this one, if you comment this, then what will happen? Now it will load because there is no errors. So now it is going to load. See this? Observe this one now. We have commented this validation mode and then we are running. Observe this one. All the data has been loaded. Now if you check the data here, you can see the data has been loaded as it is. Whatever the data it is there, as it is, the data has been loaded. Now this is by using validation. Before loading the data only you can able to check, right? And if it is not having any errors, it won't allow you to load the data. By using validation mode, it will not allow you to load the data. Now in the first one, if I use this table is having the same structure, and when I am using this validate table, this table emp validate, this is number, and if I execute this, what will happen? It will throw error, right? And if I comment this, if I comment this, and then if I execute, what will happen here? See this? It will throw error and then it will not allow you to load any data. Even if you receive one error, it won't allow you to load the data to the table. This is by default. On error, if you get any error, that is abort statement. For example, if you see here, if you describe stage and then stage name, you can see, observe this one, on error, what is the default? Default is abort statement. It means if you get any error here, it will abort the statement. It will not allow you to load the data. It won't allow you to load the data to the table. Clear? Same thing. So when it is coming to here, see this, what will happen is, this is not allowing. If I use on error, there is a different option. By default, on error equal to abort statement, right? And we can use continue skip file. You can use on error equal to continue or on error equal to skip file option. These are the different options it is available. Skip file means, for example, in this particular stage, if I load multiple files, error file will be skipped. Error file will be skipped. Remaining valid files will be loaded. Remaining valid files is going to be loaded into the table. For example, this is without errors. This file also we will load it here into the same stage area. No errors, right? What we will do is here, otherwise I will pick the path. This is the path, right? Okay, let me modify it here itself. This is there is no errors in this file. Now this file has to load it to this particular stage. Now observe this. Here in this stage, now we have two files. One file is with errors, another file is without errors. Now when I use on error equal to skip file, then what will happen is, observe, we are going to use on error. After this, on error equal to skip file. What we are using here, on error equal to skip file. Let me show you. If you use on error equal to skip file, right, what will happen is, it will skip error related files. Remaining file will be processed. Now let's observe this. What happened now? See this one, rows loaded. See this. This is the error file, right? Zero rows loaded. This file is skipped. Which file is loaded? This file is loaded, right? Now if you check the data here, table, see this, what happened now? This is loaded, but only one file is loaded. Another file is not loaded. Another file is not loaded, right? Because of error. The file has been skipped. That file is skipped. When you use multiple files when you are processing, if you want to skip the error files, we can use on error equal to skip file. Now, another option is I don't want to skip the file. I don't want to skip the file. I wanted to continue loading only the valid rows. Invalid rows, let's ignore, but only load valid rows. Continue loading the valid. For example, here if you observe the file, how many are valid? 4 are valid. How many are invalid? 2 are invalid. What will happen? These 4 rows will be loaded to the table. Remaining 2 will be skipped. When you use on error equal to continue option, observe this one. We can use on error equal to continue. Continue. This is the option. When you use on error continue, it will allow loading the data. Whatever the errors we are going to receive, those rows will be skipped. Remaining will be loaded. Remaining will be loaded. Okay. Before loading this, let me show you here. Before that, we have used validation mode return errors, right? Validation mode return errors. When you observe the same thing here, validation mode return errors, we have a file here in the stage area. If I use, it is showing these two errors are errors in the file, right? Before loading. Now, let me load the data to this table by using this continue command, on error continue. Now what happened now? Partially loaded. If you observe, see this one. It is telling partially loaded. So what is the total number of rows? 6. What is the total rows loaded? 4 rows loaded. Only 4 loaded in total number of rows is 6. Clear? Now, after loading, I wanted to understand what all the rows has been skipped here. In that case, if you use after loading the data to the table, if you use validation mode return errors, still your file is available in stage. If you use this validation mode return errors, after loading, it will not work. It will consider that file already has been loaded. That's the reason it won't allow you to show any errors after loading the data to the table. So that's why we will say validation mode return errors only before loading the data to the table. Now, after loading the data, here the 2 rows are skipped. When we load the data to the table, 2 rows are skipped. Then how to identify what are the details of that particular rows or how many is skipped? Those details I wanted to load. I wanted to see. Then after loading, right, we can use validate option. Validate using query ID. Using query ID, we can use validate option. Sorry. So here, what will happen is, let me show you. No, observe this one. This is the command. So we have to use, sorry guys, select star from table, validate table name. Here we need to give the query ID, through which query ID the copy command has been loaded to the table. Sorry, that query ID you need to know. Then only you can able to understand after loading the data to the table. So what are the errors we have? Generally, it will happen by using on error equal to continue option. If you use on error continue, it won't allow you to see by using validation mode because the data has been loaded. So that what you have to do, you have to use validate option. So we need to know the query ID through which query ID we run the copy command. For that, what we will do is we will go to monitor window. Here, query history. You can see this is the return errors. Let me refresh it here. See this command we run the on error continue, right? Now copy the query ID. The same query ID we have to give here. See this, don't get confused here. So we are using somewhere statement. Some places we will use job ID, or some we will call it as a query ID in some places. All are same, don't get confused. We will call this query ID as a statement also. We call this query ID as a job ID also. Okay, basically, so this is query ID. Now, if I execute this, observe now what will happen. See this, same thing, what we saw before loading the data to the table by using validate mode option, the same you can able to see that here also. Same I can able to see. Now I wanted to load these error details into separate table means, yes, you can create separate table as a restore table, and then you can load all this data. If you want for the reference purpose, I wanted to preserve all this error. I wanted to send it back to the team, source team who is sending the files. Then what you can do is by using this, see this, you can create create table. We will use rejected rows as, by using this one we can use it like this we can use. Now when you execute this, observe all the rejected, it will be loaded to this rejected rows table. See this rejected rows table. Now we have to, right? So once we have the details here, then we will send these details, or we will ask the team to check all the error related details available in this particular table. So like this we can able to so preserve the errors if you required. So there is two things, one is before loading, after, another one is after loading. Before loading we can use validation mode return errors. After loading the data to the table we can use validate option by using the query ID. Okay, and at the same time on error, by default it is a abort statement. On error equal to continue, we can give to continue loading the data, skipping the errors. On error, skip file, it will skip the error files and the remaining files will be loaded. So now same way, let's see other option. Suppose if you have length issue in a table, or length issue available in column. Within a column, we will have a length issue. It may be more or less. In that case, how to handle it? It means, let me show you example here, then we will understand. See this, when you are creating a table, what we are going to do is, we'll implement We will use the table name as truncate columns. This is the table name. Now observe the length of the employee ID. What is the length of the employee ID here? 3, right? And what is the length in the actual table? It will be 4. Now we created a table. Now if you check any other data in the table, so here observe this one. What is the length? 4, right? Length is 4. But what we created when you created a table structure, we created this length as 3. Observe this one. Here this is 3. Now if you have like this, if I run copy command, then what it will do? Again it will throw error, right? Now let's say, for example, same file, we will load it to the stage area by using put command. We will modify this. This we will use. This is the stage area. And let me execute this. File is available. Now this file, this is the file which you have loaded. What is the length? 4. Now what is the length in the table what we created? Length here is 3. If you run the copy command, what will happen? Observe this one now. This is the table name. This is the stage area. Now if you execute copy command, here see this, what it is telling? It's telling that length limit 3 exceeded by the string. For the first, it is showing for the first row, because in the input file what you are trying to load, the length is 4. Sorry guys, but in the table length is 3. Now so how to load this? Especially, right, this scenario, if you have any decimal points, if you wanted to ignore, then we will use this. For example, you need to consider only up to 2 decimal points. After that, we don't want to consider. The total length will be 10 digits. After the 10 digits, we should not consider. You have to trim the additional things. Then we can use this kind of truncate columns. So in this space, right, in this situation, in this place, we are going to use truncate columns equal to true, or enforce length equal to false. Both the commands will do the same thing. For example, here if you observe, see this, don't get confused. Both are same, truncate columns and enforce length. Both are similar only. Truncate columns by default, see this one, false. It means it will tell you don't truncate any columns. Now if you modify this from truncate columns equal to from false to true, then it will truncate the columns. It will adjust the length according to the length in the table. If you use enforce length means forcefully it has to maintain, that is true. But if you keep it as false, enforce length equal to false, then it will not enforce the column length. Whatever the data it is coming, based on that it will adjust and then it will load to the table. We can use any one of these, enforce length or truncate columns. Now both are similar only, but initially they have releases like enforce length command, later releases they have given the truncate columns. Both are similar. Now observe this. What we are going to do is here in this situation, we can use truncate columns. See this one, truncate columns equal to true. When you use truncate columns equal to true, it will adjust the length. Now let me execute this. Observe this, what happened now. 6 and 6 both are loaded. Now check the data. See this one, right? It's loaded, right? Observe this, it is loaded. That is the purpose of truncate columns. Now here we will see another thing related to force and purge options also. Now we have loaded this data to the table, right? Now let's assume we are doing some validations here. Now we'll use delete from table. Table data I am deleting. Observe this. What happened now? We deleted the data from the table, right? Okay. Now if you check the data here in the table, observe this carefully. Do you have the data here? No, right? There is no data available in the table. Now when I am doing something, when you are playing with the data, by mistake I have deleted. Assume that. Now our requirement is we wanted to load again. If I use copy command again, observe what will happen. What we observed, copy command with 0 files processed, but it will not allow you to load. But here the data is not available in the table, right? Even though copy command, once the file is processed, it will not allow you to load one more time to the table. In this case, right, how to deal with this? But I want the data here, right? So what we can do is, if you want to load the data again to the table, we have a command called force equal to true. Force equal to true. Observe this one, force command. So by default, what is the syntax? Default force equal to false. Now what we need to do is force equal to true we have to give. Then if you give force equal to true, forcefully the data will be loaded to the table n number of times. Now observe this. Sorry guys. Force equal to true. I'm using force equal to true command here. Now when I execute this force equal to true, see this, what happened now? All the 6 loaded now. Now one time it is loaded, Again, if I execute force equal to true, see this? Sorry, it's not selected completely. Observe this one. Again, it is loaded. How many number of times you wanted to load? You can load n number of times when you use force equal to true. This one only you will use if the data is not available in the table. It is not allowing to load because already it is loaded. By mistake, data has been deleted. Now you wanted to load it forcefully. Then only you can use force equal to true. Otherwise, it is not required. Now, the same way, okay, once the file is loaded, now the data is loaded here. If you check, file is available. So it is loaded 2 times. So 6, 6, we have 12 rows. Now, once it is loaded, whatever the files we are going to keep it in the stage area, those files by default it will be available till 14 days. How many days? Till 14 days the data will be available. In this case, here in the stages, if you observe, stage storage related to, sorry, let me open it here. See this one. So whatever it is occupied, this is related to stage files. When you come to storage, when you come to the storage, now observe, see this stage. Whatever the files we are keeping on daily basis in the stage area, this stage details is available, right? Stage details are available here. Now, what will happen is when you are keep on keeping the files into the stage area, unnecessary storage will be increased. Even though if it is removing the files from after 14 days, this one what will happen is unnecessary storage is going to increase. As per the best practices, what we will do is once the file is loaded to the table, we will purge that file from the stage area. If you think, okay, we don't require this file again. Now the data is available in the table. I wanted to remove the file. Then what you can do is simply we can use remove command and then stage name. This is the process. Otherwise, I will use other stage. This stage I will use. Now what happened? See this? Both the files has been removed. Right? The files has been removed here. Now observe this. There is no files. By using manually remove command we have used to remove the files. I don't wanted to do this during the runtime, during the copy command itself. So I will decide whether the file is required or not. Yes, now the file is loaded. Now I don't wanted to see the file. Once the file is loaded successfully, what we can do is we can use purge equal to true option. Purge equal to true option we can use. When you use purge equal to true, right? Remember, if the file is successfully loaded, then only purge command is going to work. If the file successfully loaded, then only it will remove the file from the stage area. Now if you observe, list percentage emptc. You can able to see, sorry, you can see the file here available, right? Now observe this. If I comment force equal to true, what will happen? Will it allow you to load the data to the table? The file already processed. So if you use again this copy command, it will not allow you to load the data. Now observe this one. See this? Same. Copy executed with 0 files processed. So the command is executed, but it will not execute the purge command here. Now if you observe again, you can see the file, right? The file is not loaded. If the file is not loaded, it will not be removed. Remember this, purge will work only when the file is successfully loaded to the table, then only it will work. If the file is not loaded due to any reason, then it won't allow you to load. It won't allow you to remove. Okay, now observe this. What we are doing is we are using including force equal to true, we will use purge. Then force equal to true means forcefully it will pick the file and then it will load the data to the table. Now when it is loaded successfully, then only purge will remove the file from the stage area. This is one of the best practice we will follow when we are using copy command. If you think the file is not available going forward, then we can remove the file by using purge command. Now let's observe this. Let's execute this one here. What we observe now, the data is available in the table. When the data is available in the table, it means it is loaded successfully. Now let's check the stage area here. See this, what you observe. Can you able to see any file here? Because the file has been removed from the stage area because the file is loaded. At the same time, once the file is loaded, we are telling that so it has to remove the file by using a purge. So it will going to remove the file, right? That is the purpose of purge. Purge when it will work, if the file successfully loaded. Remember this condition. If it is not loaded successfully, purge will not work. Okay, so this is one option we can use. And other than this, let's say for example we have duplicate in a table. Sorry guys, let's observe. We will create a new table and we will insert some duplicate files here into this. Now we are creating new table, and whatever the files we have duplicate, that we will load it into this particular stage area. For that we we will use put command. I will modify this distinct new, and then path will be, let me pick the path here. This is the file I wanted to process. Now if you observe this file, there is no errors here in this file, and observe row 1, row 3, both are duplicates. Observe row 4 and then row 2. What you observe here, both are duplicates, right? Both are duplicates. Now here I don't wanted to process duplicate rows. I wanted to remove when I am processing itself. I wanted to take care of the files, take care of the unique values only has to be loaded. Then what we can do is we can use distinct option. We can use distinct option. Now let me pick the file path. We'll modify this. Just a minute. Close. This is the path of the file. This file is not having any errors, but it will have duplicate values. So execute this. This is the path. Okay. Now let's execute the put command. The file is loaded. Now this file contains the duplicate rows. Now when we are executing copy command, what will happen if you execute copy command directly, like copy into table from the stage name, all the files will be, all the rows will be loaded, even including duplicate, including duplicate. But here our requirement is we don't want it to process duplicate. Then it's simple. What you are going to use is we are going to use distinct commands in the copy command. See this one. So we are using copy into the table from, see this, distinct $1, $2, $3, 4, 5 from, this is the stage name. This is the stage name. Like this we will use. In the stage, if you have multiple files, if you wanted to process the specific file name, then you can do use this format slash then file name slash and then if you have multiple files, then only, otherwise not required. Now let's execute. See this, distinct of all the columns from the stage area. So it will pick only the distinct values. Now execute this one. What happened now? Is it loaded already? Let me check. Did we execute it 2 times? Sorry.
Dinesh, do
Uh,
you want to change the spreadsheet
yeah,
name? Yeah.
we have to use the different name here. This is, I will remove the stage because of the file issue. Okay, this is the file which you wanted to process. That file is not available. Now let's execute this one. Now observe. Okay, don't get confused guys here. Here, if you observe, rows parsed, rows loaded, all it will show 4. But actually, if you see the data, this is a bug here. If you see the data actually, now observe this, you can see only the 2 rows. See this one, only 2 rows. But it is showing 4 parsed and 4 loaded. But don't get confused here. It will not load 4. It will load only 2 here. Now observe this one. We have only unique value, right? It is not allowed you to load duplicate values. It's loaded only unique details. Clear, right? So like this, we will use different options when you are working. These are the major, most of the options what we are going to use when you are working with a copy command. So on error skip file, on error continue, by default on error abort statement. We will use purge to remove the file. We will use force command to forcefully load the data, truncate option to truncate the columns, validation mode to identify the errors, right? So these are the different options we will use. So when we are working with copy command, clear. And in the next session, what we will do is we will see, we'll jump into the advanced things like related to table types. So how the table type is going to work, and then we will see that what are the different table types in Snowflake, and based on that we will discuss so how the things is going to work in Snowflake. Whatever the tables we created here, there is a concept like permanent, transient, and temporary. We will see that in the coming session how to work with those things. Now let's come to the questions here. You can see some of the questions. Let me go one by one. No, it won't, Manoj. It will not be there.
So even if the table loading is not finished, it have any lock on the table?
No, it won't be there. It will be released immediately.
Okay.
If it is
So
failed also, there is no lock.
so one question. So Dinesh, like in Snowflake, is there any batch mode or file row by row mode? Is there any modes available like the batch mode or anything of that sort?
Whatever we are loading right here, this is
Mm-hmm.
like we will call it as a bulk loading option. Okay.
Okay.
This we can consider as a copy command is a bulk loading option. We will consider as a batch load only.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Can we validate the data only at the staging level? What we can do, Satya, we can like we can use a skip file option, and then all these things we can able to use it in a like a staging area. So just we will keep the files in the stage area. On top of that, when we are picking the data into the table, we can use skip file and all those things. That is possible. Okay.
So for that one, do we
Enforce.
need any
mm,
script?
No, no. With the copy command only, we are going to do that.
Okay. Are you going to show any example for this one? Right.
See, whatever you have done right, on error equal to skip file, Satya. That is the thing.
Mm.
We are skipping all the unwanted the files, error files in the stage area itself. We are leaving that, right? And then remaining only we are
Mm.
processing. Yeah, yeah. Enforce, yes. Enforce is nothing but like forcing. If for example column length is 5, enforce true means when we are loading the data to the table also column length has to be 5 only. It should not go beyond that. That's a enforce length.
So enforced length means it has to be at the table level or in the data file. Like where does the length need?
Column enforce length is column level.
Okay, in the table you are saying in the table.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Mm.
okay, I
Error
thought.
limit, got
Mhm.
it. Mhm.
Okay, I was thinking like the enforced length means like the data file length will be will
No,
be
no, no,
honored.
no,
Okay.
no, it's a
Okay,
column. Yeah.
okay, it's only the table. Got it. Thank you.
Error limit means by default it will be one. It means even if you receive any one error also, Snowflake is going to abort the statement. So that's why we will use this. Can see something from, let me check what is this.
It's the same question. I may just place
Okay,
the screenshot.
got it. Okay. Yes, only 14 days the stage files will be available.
And after
After 14 days,
they
it will be purged. It will be removed by default.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we
On
store
error,
after that 14 days
sorry.
somewhere? Like, can we store those
Mhm.
14 days blocks in the S3 bucket?
No, no. The files, once it is come to the Snowflake, it will be removed from the Snowflake stage area. So it will not be available anywhere. It will be removed
So
because
in the
already we
future,
are
we want to
loading
use
this.
them again.
We won't use it again. Mm. So that's the reason we will load the data to the table. So before that,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to load. So once it is loaded, also still you read the data, then so we won't keep that here. If you want that files to be preserved, then we can use it in somewhere like S3 stage or something else like that.
Okay.
And yes, a skip file means completely file will be skipped, Vasudev. And then on error means continue means in the file, even if you have errors, only the valid rows will be loaded. In a file, if you have 5 rows and then 3 are valid, only 3
Okay.
will be loaded, 2 will be skipped. That is on error continue.
Okay,
Skip
sir.
file means complete file will be skipped. It won't allow you to load.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Remove command will work in user interface also. Here also it will work. You can use this RM here also. See this. We can use RM, for example. We can use this here also. See this one, remote. We can use.
Okay, thank you.
So Dinesh, as we can see bad records and
Mm,
maintain in a intermediate table. So same activity
mm,
we can do for the duplicate records.
Sorry, could you please come again, Atul?
Yeah, as we can see bad records and we can create
Okay,
an intermediate table on that
okay.
and we can
Mm-hmm.
share. So same activity we can do for the duplicate records.
Yes, we can do that. Yeah,
Okay.
it's up to us. Yeah. Once we remove the file from the stage and then reload into the stage, load the same file again in the table. If the file is already loaded, Satish, you cannot able to load it. That is not possible. It will maintain metadata information about the file. The file name has to be different. Then only it will allow. Even if you remove also, it will be the same. Okay. Both my files have the same primary key records, but the last column contain the different data.
Yeah, Dinesh, in that case, if you are, I mean, we are using the purge command. So if you would want to load the same file again for any case, so it's not possible that you're saying, right?
It's not possible. The file name has to be different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and how long it will manage that metadata information? Like if, see,
That is
after
for
1 month, if I come with the same name, can I load?
it will be up to 14 days.
No, no, yeah, it will be up to, it will manage. Okay, metadata information manage 14 days. After that, if
Yes,
I
yes.
load
After
same file
14
again, it
days,
will
if you
work.
load same file, it will allow.
Okay.
Have a primary key and then but the column contain different data. Yes, this can be done by using SCD implementation, Satya. With the help of SCD, we can identify the key column. With the help of merge statement, we can able to do that. We will see this example with the SCD type implementation. I will show you this, how to implement this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Dinesh, one last question. So for
Yes.
the RM command will be, it can be executed from the user interface also, you said?
Yes, we can execute it.
Okay, not only from CLI, it can be executed from both the sides, like CLI
Yes,
and
we
interface.
can do that. Yeah.
Thank
Only the put and get will be the different. That's it. Remaining everything can be done from the both the places.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.